Willkommen zurück zu Star Trek Resurgence. Wir haben ja schon bewiesen, wie gut wir diplomatisch unterwegs sind, technisch und als Brückenoffizier. Ich sage mal, nicht unbedingt, ich habe geglänzt, aber ja, ne? Beim diplomatisch, ein Fingerspitzengefühl. Sehen Diplomaten anders? Egal. Ja, jetzt müssen wir ja mit anderen Mitteln uns zurechtfinden. Wir sollen jetzt rausfinden, was die Fraktionen eigentlich wollen. Im Hintergrund arbeiten.
Soothing.
Jo, Wasser, ne? Spannend. Kann man mit dir reden? Du siehst ein bisschen exponiert aus. Wie sieht hier die Welt aus? Nebel.
Such rough terrain. No wonder the Hotari are so tough.
Du kannst da was erkennen? Ich sehe hier vorne zwar ein paar Brocken, aber da hinten erkennt man ja gar nichts mehr. Respekt. Ja, man merkt halt, dass es für die alten Konsolen gemacht ist. Sidron! Der Charmante.
Commander, I'm glad you've chosen to side with the Hotari. I knew the Federation would see through the Elidians' baseless claims and protect the
Ja komm,
interests of my
eigentlich bin ich ja
people.
auf keiner Seite.
To be clear, I'm not on either side of this conflict. Our only interest is peace.
I will keep that in mind.
Das würde ihm nicht gefallen. Ich glaube,
I
das ist
assume
so
you were
der...
there the day the mines were seized from the Elidians.
Not seized, reclaimed, and restored to their rightful owners. Yes, I was there. We had to be decisive, before the Elidians could even realize their worst nightmares upon them.
Ah, hattet ihr Hilfe? Weil das kommt ja
Did you
nicht von
have
irgendwoher.
help from someone else?
Hotari stands alone against the Elidian forces. We don't need help from anyone. They respect one thing above all else, and that is force. The greater the force, the more certain the outcome. Any talk of making peace is just that, and worth little without the strength to secure it. Which makes me wonder about your ship, the Resolute. Undoubtedly the Federation's finest warship. Ready to contend with anything the Elidians might have in store. Or is that not true? Maybe I've misjudged it.
Die Flotte ist immer in der Nähe.
No need to worry. Even in a worst-case scenario, the fleet is always within reach.
But it would probably take them quite some time to get here.
Maybe. Or we might have other ships in the sector.
Of course.
Sidron,
A pleasure meeting you, Commander. I'm sure we'll cross paths again.
Ja. Ich glaube, den werden wir noch wiedersehen. Aber irgendwer steckt dahinter. Irgendwer hat die ausgerüstet, irgendwer hat die angestachelt. Wollen wir mit euch reden? Nee. Mit ihm hatten wir schon. Hylas! Ja, wollen wir mal hören, was Hylas zu sagen hat.
Commander Rydek, I'm encouraged to see the Federation supporting my people. I'm afraid of what might happen without your help.
Ja, dank Spock.
If anyone deserves thanks, it's Ambassador Spock. No one is more invested in negotiating a peaceful settlement to this conflict than he is.
I'm so glad. We need his help before the situation escalates further than it already has. It's been very trying. I saw you speaking with Sidron, our national hero. I'm curious, what did he say?
He seems to be of the opinion that negotiating for peace is a waste of time.
Because force is the only blunt instrument he understands. He's a miner, not a diplomat. For the first time in our history, the Hotari have the upper hand. We see ourselves as strong instead of downtrodden. New voices have risen up. Old voices shouted down. Galvin and Sidron have become national heroes. Now they have the Queen's ear. For better or worse, depending on your perspective.
Wir fühlen dem Ganzen mal ein bisschen auf den Zahn.
I get the sense you don't exactly trust them.
I don't trust their instincts, which are leading us to war. My fear has been that the Illidians will launch an attack and crush us. You've seen their starship, no doubt. They could have retaken the mines whenever they wanted to, but it never happened. And as strange as this may sound, I'd almost say they're afraid. I just don't know what they're afraid of.
Das ist ein
Still
wichtiger
the same
Hinweis.
bluster and bravado you would expect from them.
Der Sturm?
That it has no teeth. Like they're afraid of what might
Wir wissen, was
happen.
der Sturm damit zu tun
Do you
hat.
think it has something to do with the ion storm? Right now, it's stronger than ever, isn't it?
It's entirely possible. I'm not a scientist, but I do know the storm has knocked out all kinds of systems. So maybe the Illidians weren't willing to risk their ships, given all the interference. Since the day of the revolt, Galvin has seized control of the mines and restricted all access. No one's allowed without his personal authorization. And they've taken over a section of the palace with just as much secrecy and security. I'm told it could be something they brought back from the mines.
Das bisher
Made
interessanteste
inquiries,
Gespräch.
but everyone pretends it doesn't exist. I strongly suspect they're hiding something.
Hey, warum?
Why
Eine
would they do
Vermutung?
that?
I don't know. But that's what concerns me. Whatever they're hiding, it can't be good.
How can we know?
I'd better see what's happening.
Do you think you can find out what they're hiding? I need to see proof of something before I can make my case to the Federation.
I can try, but even if I found it, I might not know what to make of it.
Take this. You can use it to capture whatever you find, and then send it to me.
Thank you. I will let you know
Das
what
ist
I
gut.
find. And I look forward to our meeting again.
Ah, es ist gut.
Sorry, I couldn't help but notice you were speaking with the Hotari this whole time. I figured in the interest of fairness, I should offer another perspective.
Of course.
I'm probably not telling you anything you don't already know, but these negotiations rely on the Federation's neutrality, as does any hope you might have for a supply of dilithium in the future. So, why you would choose to side with the Hotari escapes me. Without Illidian involvement, there is no dilithium trade. Clearly, you weren't aware.
Komm,
We are and will remain completely neutral. Our only interest is the peaceful resolution to this conflict.
As is ours. Of course, the question is, at what price? Major Salit Arminta, Special Attaché, Illidian Armed Forces. Pleasure to meet you, Commander. I have my issues with the Hotari, but I have to give them some credit. They know how to seize an opportunity. Inciting an uprising the same day as a massive, once-in-a-lifetime ion storm.
Our assumption was that this storm was just an anomaly.
Yes, a very convenient anomaly. At least that was what we were told.
gut, die haben die gleiche Vermutung wie ich.
Of course, I wasn't there. But who am I to say otherwise?
Komm, er ist skeptisch, also fragen wir danach
You
mal.
sound skeptical.
Well, the official story is that it was the storm that enabled the revolt. How else do a bunch of unarmed, unorganized miners seize control of an entire moon, much less thousands of mines? But I've talked to people who were there. They tell a different story. They say they're lucky to have escaped with their lives. That it was more than just the storm. That somehow the miners were able to harness the energy from the storm. I know it sounds crazy. I'm not even sure I believe it myself. But that's what they said.
Soll er erstmal erklären,
You
was er
just
damit
answered
meint.
your own question. How do a group of miners do something that in theory can't be done? That's how. Harnessing the storm.
But even if it's true, how does that even happen?
You tell me.
If you'll excuse me, Commander Ryder.
Es war auf jeden Fall spannend. Wir wissen jetzt, also irgendwer steckt dahinter oder irgendwas. Die haben exakt zu dem Zeitpunkt, wo der Sturm aufgezogen ist, haben die ihre Revolte losgetreten. Sie trauen sich nicht anzugreifen wegen dem Sturm. Raten wir mal nicht so viel rein. Jetzt schauen wir mal weiter nach Infos. Wir brauchen ja auch noch die Scans. Was in dem versteckten Bereich abgeht. Ne, mit ihnen können wir nicht reden. Geht die Tür schon auf? Nein. Oh. Wir können uns noch die Banner angucken.
They seem proud of their culture. Pride can lead to rash action.
Alles klar. Also wir haben es hier mit einem sehr stolzen Volk zu tun. Was ja, ein Stück weit ausgebeutet wurde. Ich weiß halt nicht genau, wie das vorher genau ablief. Sind sie jetzt wirklich massiv ausgebeutet worden oder war das eher eine Partnerschaft? Also eine Geschäftsbeziehung zu ihren Ungunsten.
Well, that was a disaster.
What happened?
The Hotari refused to concede anything, so the Elydians stormed out.
The Hotari did not invite us here as peacekeepers. I hope your efforts were more fruitful than ours.
Ja, wir haben ein bisschen was rausgefunden. Und sie würde uns da weiterhelfen.
Gravitational harmonics failing to resolve. Warp bubble stability degrading. Increase output to maximum.
Increasing warp output to maximum.
It's happening again.
Warp failed.
It is evident that presently the Resolute cannot achieve warp propulsion.
Since our diagnostics rule out any problems with our warp systems or anything about the ship, the problem appears to be the fabric of space itself.
Space itself? You're saying something about this region of space prevents warp travel?
Prevents it, or can't sustain it.
However improbable, that appears to be the case.
We need to know more.
Es wird wahrscheinlich der Sturm
The
sein.
storm didn't stop us from leaving space dock and traveling here. But could it still be causing this interference with warp travel?
We must follow sound investigatory principles. Do not let an assumed conclusion drive your analysis.
Sometimes we need a little inspired thinking, Mr. Chovak. Captain Solano is on his way back from the negotiations, and I want to have some answers for him when he gets here.
Indeed. Given the facts at hand, we may be able to deploy subspace probes around the ship to construct a clearer picture of the phenomenon.
Around the ship. I'll prep a shuttle.
Jo! Shuttle-Mission! Proben aussenden, Sonden aussetzen, Proben. Ja, Probes.
I'm setting up a waypoint at a distance roughly corresponding to the edge of our warp field. When we get there, I'll deploy the first probe.
Also. Ist vorwärts, rückwärts, bis zum Strafe. Oh Gott. Yeah. Oh, ist das eine Steuerung. Die ist ein bisschen gewöhnungsbedürftig, sage ich euch. Ist ein bisschen
Commander
eilig.
Westbrook, the Resolute systems are calibrated to receive the probe's readings. We are standing by to reproduce the warp field collapse after the first probe is deployed.
Thank you, Mr. Chovak. We'll be in position shortly.
And, Mr. Diaz, do take care in piloting the shuttlecraft. Now is not the time to indulge in the human penchant for joyriding.
Ugh. Kann ich das inventieren? Nee.
Chovak probably isn't such a fun guy to work for, huh?
Ach, ich nehme das nicht persönlich. Das ist ein Vulkanier.
I just don't take it personally. At least I try not to.
That's a very mature answer. Shows a positive attitude on your part. Remind me of it when I start complaining to you about the ship's new first officer.
Ich kämpfe ein bisschen mit der Steuerung. Das ist ein bisschen eirig, schwabbelig. Also nicht schön. Ja, komm. Hier durch. Wir tasten uns langsam an den Wegpunkt ran. Ich bin mir nämlich nicht sicher, ob ich da was aussetzen soll.
This is far enough.
Ach cool. Geht automatisch.
Transporting the first probe into position. Westbrook here. The first probe is deployed.
Understood. We are reading it. We are about to replay the simulation.
Problem?
I just can't get a handle on her. Commander Rydek.
Das lässt ihn nicht
She
los, ne?
rejected my plan to use a deflector pulse against the storm surge. But on the other, she did listen to my advice and use the whole polarity trick to get you through that excursion alive. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the new XO. I'm sure she's a fine officer, even if we don't see eye to eye. But she didn't go through what the rest of us did. You know that. And it's hard to figure out why she'd be the one Solano chose instead of, well, one of
Ja,
us.
komm, gib ihr eine Chance.
I've heard some good things. You should at least give her a chance.
I'll take that under advisement.
Test is running. Warp field collapse in 3, 2, 1, mark.
Whoa. All right,
Was war denn
that
das?
is definitely a problem with the fabric of space. We need to get another probe out there.
Wird ja donnerspannend. Ich dachte, das wird ein langweiliges
2 points of
Experiment.
data, the Resolute and the probe. We've managed to get an interference pattern. I'm setting a waypoint to a particularly strong area of interference. We'll deploy the second probe there.
Okay, das heißt...
Listen, I'm gonna give you a piece of advice I wish someone had given me. Make sure you're never just one thing. And don't get so focused on what's in front of your face that you lose sight of the big picture. Before Rydek showed up, the captain pulled me into his ready room and told me he didn't think I had the people skills to be first officer.
Okay.
What a load of crap. I mean, if he'd said that about Chovak,
Ach komm,
sure.
wir bedanken uns erstmal für den
I
Tipp.
appreciate the advice, Commander. I'll make sure I keep my options open.
I don't need to tell you how to operate. You're already well on your way. You're a capable engineer. You're good in the field. Keep up the good work, and who knows? A solid jack of all departments like you could be Commander-in-Chief of Starfleet one day. Hell, Admiral Jellicoe started as a shuttle pilot. And there are places to go in
Ja,
the
komm, das ist doch keine
enlisted
schlechte
ranks,
Idee.
You know, I'd be the best leader Starfleet ever had. Lower decks always have to fix all the problems Command causes. Maybe I'd just save everybody some steps.
too. Well, don't forget about us little people when you're running things.
Of course not. You gotta remember where you came from.
Natürlich werde ich das Fußvolk nie vergessen. So, 1,3. Ein Kilometerchen noch. Oh, jetzt gehen die Zahlen runter. Langsam gewöhne ich mich auch an die eirige
This is
Steuerung.
close enough. Stop the engines. Deploying the probe.
Jetzt bin ich mal gespannt.
Westbrook to Commander Chovak. We're ready for another sampling of data.
Very good. Running the simulation again. Warp field collapse in 3, 2, 1, mark.
Ooh.
There it is again.
I saw it. It seems to be directional.
Well, what about the scans? Anything?
Here's the readings in relation to our local space. We've got the Resolute, Otari Prime, and the probes.
All this interference is overloading the sensor buffers. We're gonna have to triangulate the sensors manually.
Okay. Mal da. Resolute.
We got something.
Ah.
These markers indicate peaks in the gravimetric interference patterns.
Let's see if I can find some more.
Yep. Also einfach nur das abscannen. Da haben wir nochmal. Ich führe zu dem Planeten.
Hold up.
Dem Mond.
This is coming from the moon.
A beam that blocks warp travel.
Aimed right at us.
Someone is doing this intentionally. I don't know how they're doing it. This is like nothing I've ever seen.
Irgendwie ist das ein Angriff.
We're under attack and we didn't even know it. We need to stop them. Unplug whatever it is they're hitting us with.
Now, look here. It's our current readings of the ion storm.
These concentrations. They line up with the interference pattern. The storm. And this beam. They're coming from the same place.
Carter, whatever petty local conflict brought us here, it's just a small part of something much bigger.
Ja, so will ich auch gucken an deiner Stelle.
Presently, we don't have an explanation for how they're doing this. But one thing is clear. This is no fluke.
Thank you, Mr. Westbrook. I want a full briefing when I'm back on board. Solano out. A targeted weapon that inhibits warp travel. Coming from the moon Tau.
That would explain the difficulties my shuttle encountered. More importantly, the tenor of the Hotari during the negotiations.
And here I thought the Illidians would be the problem. Coming to peace talks in a warship. This wasn't supposed to be so complicated.
Komm, die Illidians wussten, dass da was
For
los
all their
abgeht,
posturing,
ne?
every indication is that the Illidians are afraid of the Hotari. They didn't bring their warship as a threat. They brought it because they're scared.
From everything we witnessed, I would say that is highly likely.
But what are they afraid of?
Tylus, the Hotari representative, said she thought they found something in the mines. Galvin and Sidron brought it back to the palace, but they're keeping it under tight security. She's going to investigate it. I gave her my tricorder. I expect she'll contact us soon.
You found an ally.
Why would Tylus help us? Go behind her people's back? It's a fair question, considering.
Ich glaube, sie hat einfach keine anderen Optionen mehr.
She's worried that her people are being dragged into something that isn't going to end well for them. She's trying to save them.
That may be true.
She's certainly more likely to help than the other Hotari we've met.
That raises another question. Specifically, what do the other Hotari have to gain in bringing us here, only to make this hostile maneuver against us? There must be some motivation.
Unless they changed their minds between when they asked and when we got here.
Palermo? Ja,
Sidron
vielleicht
was
wollen sie was über
very
uns lernen.
curious when we spoke outside the Queen's chamber. He wanted to know all about us, our ship, the Federation. He wasn't giving any answers. He was looking for them.
Well, I'm sure you didn't tell him too much. I don't think the Illidians know what's really down on that moon either.
Major Armintas said the revolt defied explanation. That the Hotari miners somehow harnessed the energy of the storm.
Harness the energy of the storm.
Doing that is beyond even our capabilities.
So is a weapon that disrupts warp travel.
There have been civilizations and entities, both past and present, far more technologically advanced than the Federation.
The Illidians and Hotari don't fall into that category.
But that is all the more reason to investigate further.
Commander Rydek, sorry to interrupt. We've received an urgent call from Hotari. The Queen's advisor, Tylus, has asked to speak with you.
Put her through.
Jetzt wird spannend. Bin ich gespannt, was er gefunden hat.
Galvin and Sidron are still with the Queen. I've enlisted help to gain access to the room they have under guard. I don't have much time.
I'm not supposed to leave my post.
It's only for a moment. I so appreciate your help.
found something. I'm sending you a scan.
Got it.
Sieht aus wie eine
Tylus,
Steuerungskonsole.
if we needed to gain access to the mines on Tau, is that something you could help us with?
I suppose it wouldn't be easy, but I have to go.
Tylus,
Can we reconnect?
Sorry, Captain. We've lost all contact.
We can only hope she escaped without harm.
Vielleicht eine Verbündete
It's
verloren.
hard to tell.
Eigentlich müssten wir ihr helfen.
we have to help her. Send another shuttle.
We're
or
not
maybe
doing anything yet. Not until we know more. Let's see the scan of whatever the hell that was.
Das hat ihm gefallen? Ich dachte, der
Tylus
war gerade
suspects
verärgert.
this came from the mines on Tau.
It appears to be of ancient origin, but the markings are unfamiliar.
We can run a full analysis when we get back to the Resolute. But if this came from the mines, then it might be the key to how they got the upper hand against the Illydians.
Then we have to go into the mines.
The Federation would not allow that. We were, after all, sent here to be a neutral party in a peace negotiation. However, we could demonstrate that the Hotari have acted in bad faith, which would enable us to investigate the mines on Tau with full justification. But of course, we would need conclusive proof before taking action.
Ja, komm, das
could put us in a
Artefakt ist ja der
difficult
Beweis eigentlich.
Whatever this artifact is may be proof enough. At least to satisfy the Federation.
Especially if we can show the Hotari are controlling the warp disruption. And targeting the Resolute.
We may have a better understanding once we analyze the device. But a mission to the mines, covert or otherwise, is not out of the question. And I will handle the Federation.
Sehr schön.
As I was telling Carter, I want all the data I can get on this warp problem. And the negotiating team's shuttle has been recording data all the way back from Hotari. Even better than our probes. So pull the sensor and engine ISOs from the Melville when it sets down.
Will do.
I'll join you and Chovak down in engineering to run another analysis after the briefing.
I didn't like this warp problem when we thought it was some astronomical anomaly. And I like it a hell of a lot less now that we know someone is doing it to us.
Also jetzt müssen wir wirklich beweisen, dass das von denen
What do we even
ausgelöst
do
wurde.
about it?
What do you say we pull these chips and find out?
Took some damage on the way. That ionic interference scored the hull plating. Might be some micro welds. Let's try pulling together.
All right.
Ja, ein bisschen ziehen, das kann ich.
3, 2, 1.
Und?
It won't budge. Gotta be the storm damage. We need to...
Ein Brecheisen.
Welcome back. Any excitement down on the surface?
Excitement? No. Nothing like that.
Hey, can you hand me the EJ7 interlock? From the toolbox.
I don't know what that is.
Ich auch nicht.
Not much use for one on a security detail, huh? Carter?
Yeah, I'll get it.
Woher soll ich wissen, was das ist? Okay. Der Bunsenbrenner. Professionell sein.
Okay, I'll apply pressure while you decouple the panel.
Jetzt hier drauf. Jetzt
Here,
was?
I'll help.
Im Team geht's immer besser. Und 10.
We've got this.
Open up and say ah.
Gute alte
Thanks for the
rohe
hand.
Gewalt.
We have to get these isolinear chips down to engineering.
No problem. You really know everything about these ships, don't you? The tools, the systems. Like a walking Starfleet technical manual.
Komm, Engineering ist ja
Thought
jetzt cool,
security
oder?
was the detail to be on. Now all of a sudden you're interested in engineering?
Just the engineer.
Come on, start pulling chips.
Gut. Ich war noch nie ein Genie in sowas. Okay. Okay. Also jetzt einfach die gelben raus. Ach, einfach alle raus. Aha. Ja, dann machen wir das mal. Was haben wir denn da?
What's this?
Some kind of crystal formation?
Ja. Wir scannen's mal.
Whoa. This substance is a quantized spin crystallization of hydrogen, carbon, and lithium. It's emitting tetrametric pulses at an interval of 3.8422 seconds.
Quantized crystallization isn't natural. I mean, it's only theoretical as a means to engineer matter on a subatomic level. What's it doing in there?
Stimm mal zu. Pass das doch nicht mit der Hand an, du Depp.
Regulation 364, subsection 9.
What?
Regulation 364, subsection 9 orders that in the case of an unknown foreign substance infiltrating a sealed system, it will be placed in secure confinement before further examination. Retrieve a containment module.
Don't you think we're more equipped to deal with whatever this is?
No. Before anything else, this is a security issue.
Okay, ja,
You don't even
sie
know
hat
what
recht.
this is.
Which is why we need to study it.
Once it's contained.
Well, if it's not natural, then someone might have put it there. It could be a tracking device, some kind of sabotage, or even a bomb.
Which is why we need to get it to the containment lab.
Come on.
I can't make an exception. Not even for you.
I'm still going to report these crystals to Commander Westbrook when we send the shuttle data.
And I will inform my superiors. I'm taking this just as seriously as you are.
Aber ich kann sie verstehen, sie hat recht.
But I overheard talk about the warp disruption on the shuttle. Now these crystals? Maybe this situation is more than we can handle with just a science vessel. We could trigger a distress call, get Starfleet to send more ships. Or I could send a message to my old CO on the Adirondack. Get some combat-tested vessels. We shouldn't do this alone.
We're at the edge of the quadrant. Help isn't just gonna pop over like we're in Sector 001.
Wouldn't hurt to try.
You talk like you've never had your backs up against a wall before. This is Starfleet. We solve our own problems.
Okay, stand back. Get this to the containment lab. We'll get it set up for you. I'll let you know when it's safely confined.
Oh, we'll be there.
Last thing you want is to study this down in main engineering and have it explode next to the warp core.
Sie hat ja recht.
Almost forgot.
Can't have that.
For a second, I thought she'd gone cold on you.
Ich hab da wohl was richtig gemacht.
Like she might have changed her mind. But I guess this whole situation has her spooked. Maybe she knows more than us? Or it's because this is all happening so fast? But she usually doesn't scare easy.
Now, you can't tell me you're not a little spooked, too. We all should be.
Believe me, I'm taking it seriously. But Miranda talking about sending a distress call on her own? That's going too far. She was probably just thinking out loud. I'm sure she'll come to her senses.
Ich treffe heute nicht den richtigen
Mission
Ton
has
bei den
enough
Leuten.
complications stacking up.
Now, we'll get through it. You, me, and Miranda too.
Commander Rydek was able to work behind the scenes during the negotiations and made contact with a representative from the Hotari delegation named Tylus. She mentioned an unusual artifact of unknown origin being held under tight security within the Hotari Palace, which she believes came from the mines on Tau. Now, this artifact might have a connection to the revolt, to the storm, and to the warp disruption we now know has been targeted at the Resolute. Commander Rydek, if you want to take it from here.
Of course.
Gut, wir fassen also erstmal die aktuelle Lage
Tylus
zusammen.
managed to infiltrate the heavily guarded location within the palace and sent us these scans using my tricorder. It appears to be some sort of control panel, possibly connected to the warp disruption weapon originating on Tau. Of particular interest is this symbol, which we couldn't identify the origin of.
The Federation database has records from a vast number of civilizations. If anyone from Starfleet has come across this before, the system should recognize it.
Cross-referencing with Federation records.
Displaying symbols from Federation database with a 90% probability of match or higher. Select a symbol to further analyze.
Oh. Nee. Nee? Nein. Auch nicht. Nein. Das ist alles nicht das, was ich... Nein. Auch nicht. Hier. Das sieht richtig aus.
.2% match.
Got it.
Tkon Empire.
So, what are we looking at?
The design and composition indicate this is a glyph associated with the ancient Tkon Empire. Their civilization collapsed over 600,000 years ago, but once spanned millions of systems with a population numbering in the trillions.
Fascinating. The Tkon were once the most advanced, most powerful civilization in the galaxy.
Is it possible the Hotari found Tkon technology?
I wonder if they even know what they have.
Our knowledge of the Tkon is limited. I have only encountered passing references to them.
Die wissen,
I
wie man
can't
das
speculate
benutzt.
about how much they know, but one thing's for sure. They know how to use it.
Indeed.
Which
Das ist
might
das, was
explain
mich
how
halt
they
wundert
seized
auch.
control of the mines. And targeted us with a weapon that prevents warp travel.
Computer, what is the last recorded discovery of other Tkon artifacts?
On stardate 41386.4, the USS Enterprise D, under the command of Captain Jean-Luc Picard, discovered a Tkon outpost in the Delphi Ardu system. According to the mission summary, an unbreakable energy-draining field was deployed against the Enterprise and a Ferengi ship. The
Staffel
Enterprise
1.
was only able to escape after negotiating their release with an entity known as Portal 6-3, Guardian of the Tkon Empire.
Unbreakable energy draining field. It starts to make sense.
What else is there?
There's a lot here. Let's take it piece by piece.
Jetzt erinnere
Select
ich mich
the
wieder an die
aspect you
Folge.
wish to learn more about.
Ich fand damals die Peitschen von den Ferengis so schräg.
There appears to be some sort of restriction order from Starfleet. Computer, explain this restriction.
A Starfleet directive similar to General Order 7 forbids entering the Delphi Ardu system or attempting to make contact with Portal 6-3.
Starfleet doesn't throw up a no trespassing sign for just anybody.
I suppose it makes sense considering what happened to the Enterprise D.
Okay, dann nochmal auf die Enterprise D.
The technology to capture and hold the Federation flagship would have to be unbelievably powerful. Computer, what else can you tell us about the energy-draining field the Tkon used?
The Enterprise D was unable to break free on its own. The precise nature of the technology was never fully understood. Only that the crystalline technology used was beyond the comprehension of then-current Starfleet science.
The engineering team found a quantized spin crystal formation in the shuttle you took to Hotari. They registered tetrametric radiation coming from it.
We have Takan technology on board right now?
We might. I'll run a full analysis in the containment lab.
Gut, den Wächter heben wir uns mal zum Schluss auf. Der war ja ganz sympathisch damals in der Serie. Wir gehen erstmal auf den Planeten
What sort
selber.
of planet is Delphi Ardu 4?
Delphi Ardu 4 is an M-class planet, a barren rocky world with little to no vegetation and frequent ion storms. The giant crystals that grow there absorb energy, but it is not understood how they do so. The entire Delphi Ardu system, consisting of 11 planets, was considered completely uninhabited until the encounter with Portal 6-3.
Frequent ion storms. That can't just be a coincidence.
Mhm. Und jetzt kommen wir nochmal auf den Wächter.
Someone from the Takan Empire is actually still around.
Or at least was, 16 years ago.
Computer, what other information do you have on Portal 6-3, Guardian of the Takan Empire?
The entity known as Portal 6-3 is of an unknown nature. A biped humanoid, he was unaware that the Takan Empire no longer existed at the time of the encounter. He was able to control the crystal-based technology of the Takan outpost through apparent telepathic means. It was by his choice that the Enterprise was released from the energy draining field after Commander William T. Riker of the Away team argued on behalf of both Starfleet and the Ferengi.
Telepathic control of their technology.
As I have said, they were the most advanced civilization in the galaxy.
The Illidians should have crushed the revolt. But if the Hotari have Takan technology and can control it, I see why they're willing to
Vielleicht
negotiate
gibt's auf dem
peace.
Mond auch einen Wächter.
For all we know, this could be just the beginning. And we're up against something greater than we can imagine.
Wir müssen zu den Minen auf jeden
There's
Fall.
only one way to find out. We need to see what's down there for ourselves.
I might be able to help with that. We've been able to triangulate the source of the ionic interference and warp disruption to a specific mine on Tau. Engineering used the latest data from your shuttle to pinpoint its origin. There.
So we know where to look.
Commander Rydek's right. We need to know what's down there, what the Hotari are hiding, to better understand what we're up against, and to neutralize it if we can.
Captain, embarking on a mission to the Hotari moon would not be viewed favorably by either side. However, given the circumstances, we
wir haben doch keine
are
andere
entirely
Wahl.
within our rights to defend ourselves.
I just want to make sure this doesn't blow up in our faces. Which is why I'm thinking of sending Commander Rydek on a covert mission to Tau. Assuming you're up to the task. It would require absolute secrecy. And obviously, it's not without risk.
Ich werde ein
I'll get the away team in and
Ich werde ein
out.
Außenteam
They're in
zusammenstellen.
safe
Das
hands
mache
with
ich.
me.
Under normal circumstances, that would be the case. But given the sensitive nature of this incursion, I'm afraid you'll have to go it alone.
Oh yeah,
I'm
yeah,
hoping
yeah, yeah.
Tylus can accompany you. The priority is to avoid detection. It's a calculated risk. The last thing we need is to get caught and then blamed for violating our neutrality and aggravating an already tense situation. We can't afford any mistakes, which is why I've chosen you.
Komm, ich werde nicht
Yes,
geschnappt
sir.
werden.
I'll do everything in my power to make sure no one knows I'm there.
Good. Of course, you'll have full support from the Resolute. And we'll make sure we take every precaution.
Every precaution.
Get in touch with Tylus and make the necessary arrangements as discreetly as possible.
Bridge to Captain Solano. The Illidians have moved additional ships to the edge of the Hotari system. Current heading is straight for the homeworld.
Understood.
It would seem we no longer have the luxury of waiting. In that case, may I suggest you and I return to Hotari Prime? Doing so will provide Commander Rydek as much time as possible to complete her mission.
Agreed.
Gut,
We'll
sie
hail the
lenken ab.
Queen's delegation from my ready room.
Und ich stürze mich
We
ins
all know what we
Abenteuer.
need to do. Dismissed.
Lost and found.
Petty Officers Diaz and Edsolar, where is the crystal formation that you found in the shuttle? I have tasked Ensign Calloway with performing a full analysis of the tetrametric pulses.
Security brought it to the containment lab.
I was just there. They don't know anything about it. Security never checked it in.
Miranda never got there?
She's the one that had the crystal formation?
Yeah, her and the rest of the security detail from the negotiations.
Diaz, Tamaris.
Try her again. Commander Westbrook to Petty Officer Miranda Maris. Respond.
Something's not right.
She's still on the ship. She has to be.
Wir lassen mal einen Computer suchen.
Locate Petty Officer Miranda Maris.
Petty Officer Miranda Maris is in the isolinear storage array on Deck 5.
I'll go find her.
Good.
I am sure Mr. Diaz can attend to this on his own.
Machen wir. Aber wo Miranda ist, das erfahrt ihr erst in der nächsten Folge. Genau, hier machen wir mal einen Break. Wir sehen uns in der nächsten Folge wieder. Lebt lang und im Frieden. Haut rein.